Let's talk about applying the label to the asset.
Okay, this is a great question that comes up. First and foremost, I would tell everyone, whatever the asset is, make sure the surface is clean, free of dust, oils. Sometimes new metals or new plastics can be a bit slick and the adhesive won't fully cure to the surface. So take some type of industrial cleaning solution, wipe it down, and then most importantly, give it time to dry. You want that surface to be clean and dry. And then just affix the label to the asset. Now, if you have a drawing or some type of specification, they may say to you, here's where I want you to put that label. Most of the time, there's not that type of requirement. All you need to consider is put the label where it's easily accessible to be read with the scanner, so that the label, has the access so that you can read it. If you have a DCMA auditor coming in to check your compliance, you don't want to make it difficult for them. You want it in an easily accessible area so that they can scan that barcode and do the checks that they need to do. And as you're marking, you want to record the affix date for an audit trail. That makes the audit go that much smoother as you have more information. Obviously, you want to validate the asset pedigree. In other words, you want the right label going on the right asset. And then you always have to manage two exceptions. Perhaps the asset has been reconfigured or rebuilt, and now it's a new asset. The part number has changed, or perhaps a serial number changes as well. If that's the case, if that item is marked with the UID label, you now have to mark it with a brand new UID label that reflects that new part and serial number. And lastly, if an item cannot be marked due to lack of space, or perhaps if you apply a label to an asset that it affects the performance, you can do what is called a bag and tag mark, where the asset, let's say it's a small asset, some part, you can put it in a bag and you can take the UID label and put it on the outside of the bag. And if there is ever a situation where you cannot simply apply an actual label to an asset because it does affect the performance in a negative way, you can do what is essentially called a virtual mark, where you have the label printed for that asset, but it's essentially set aside or filed so that the UID has been created, but obviously not applying to the asset so it doesn't affect the performance in a negative way.